Welcome to the 5-Star Preps Walkthrough. Powered by Coker Rental Company. The Walkthrough delivers important pregame news, breakdowns of the week's biggest matchups, and more from the teams and players you spend your fall Friday nights cheering for.
Are you ready for some football?
We're ready for some football, baby.
Now, join us as our host, Jesse Smithey, and the rest of the 5-Star Preps team deliver the most comprehensive high school football coverage in East Tennessee. It's time for the 5-Star Preps Walkthrough.
Welcome in, everybody, to the Walkthrough presented by Coker Rental. It is week 2 of the high school football season. I'm your host, Jesse Smithey. Going to be taking you through our new pregame show here in 2023. Used to be known as 5-Star Live. Now it's known as the Walkthrough. Again, presented by Coker Rental, and certainly appreciate their support. Make sure you check them out. Rentcoker.com. That's RENTCOKER.com. Whether you need excavators, loaders, mulchers, skid steers, lifts, pressure washers, so much more. They have all of their services detailed on their site, rentcoker.com. Thank you so much for their support of high school athletics and us here at 5starpreps.com and the Walkthrough. So much to get to on today's show. Let's set the table for you here in segment 1. We have interviews coming up with Brian Nix, the head football coach at Alcoa High School. We're also going to be talking with Landis Davila and Cam Duncan, the quarterback-receiver combination that led to that amazing touchdown catch for Farragut in their Week 1 win over Dobbins Bennett. Of course, Landis was the wide receiver in that situation. Cam Duncan, the quarterback, went out to Farragut's practice this week and talked to those young men just about how that whole play unfurled there in the final minute of that Week 1 win for Farragut over Dobbins Bennett. Of course, they have a big game coming up that we're going to talk about. We'll have a whole Week 2 preview. So many of the big games to get to. We'll break down that. We'll have our Waffle House Who's Eating segment, our Waffle House Pick segment. So stick around. An exciting show on tap for you today here on the Walkthrough presented by Coker Rental. Let's take a look back at Week 1, though, here while we are at the top of the show. Big win by Powell, 35-21 over Anderson County. And who would have thought, after losing Jordan Potts, after losing Darius Redmond, Aiden Green, Gianni Magdos, and Jason Faust, I mean, to lose all of those guys and still win 35-21 over a defending state champion. A great coaching job by the people up at Powell High School, and a great job by the returning players and the newcomers out there at Powell. I know it wasn't clean, and I'm sure there's things that the coaches wanted to fix and some mistakes made in Week 1. I think every coach can say that, but really good by Powell to get off on the winning foot. Rode the feet of Connor Wheeler, their running back, and their quarterback, Deuce Rogers, had a nice day running the football as well. Averaged about 5 yards a carry, and that's probably what they're going to have to do here in the coming weeks of the season as their pass game continues to evolve. But really nice defensive effort by the Powell Panthers, and interesting to see what they're going to do this year in 5A. We talked about a little bit Farragut's win over Dobbins Bennett. I think that was one of the more surprising, eye-opening wins of Week 1. Farragut didn't really run the ball that well with their, 3 running backs, trio of running backs, but still got enough plays there at the start of the game. They had a kickoff return for a touchdown and managed to manage that game and get themselves in a winning position there in the final minute of the game. And, of course, Cam Duncan threw that winning touchdown pass to Landis Davila, and we'll talk to those two guys in just a few minutes. A lot of people talking about the West Bearden game. It lived up to the billing 14-10 win for West High School over Bearden. And of course, they threw a touchdown pass with 17 seconds to go. Were able to win that football game, even though they didn't have their best. They didn't run the ball as well maybe as they did a year ago with Braden Latham, but Marshawn Bowers, I thought, at running back, really put that team on his back in the second half. You could see him leading from a vocal perspective and encouraging his team and just saying, hey, give me the ball. I'm going to get you in the end zone. He got them in the end zone, cut it to 10-7. And then that pass game with Hunter Dance and Six Horde really started to show up there in the fourth quarter. Those two connected for the game-winning touchdown. Unbelievable catch. We'll show you that here in just a minute from Six Horde. Turn around, adjust, bobble the ball, circus catch, turn around in the end zone and got that win. But great atmosphere at West High School there in week one and a great rivalry win. Both of those two programs have monster games coming up here in week two. And the last game I want to mention here in segment one was in our pick segment from last week. And we talked about Bradley Central in Region 2-6A with Maryville and Farragut and Bearden, and why we talked about their game against McMinn County in week one. McMinn County has a great defense, and if Bradley Central were able to put up a lot of points, then that would be kind of a statement of, hey, we need to take this Bradley Central team more seriously. They are a contender this year. They have Boo Carter. They have Caleb Martin at quarterback, and that's exactly what happened. They put up 41 points on a really good defensive unit at McMinn County. So sirens are going off. That lets you know you need to keep an eye on Bradley Central going forward. Maryville plays them here, I believe, in week 3 on the road. That'll be a huge, huge game to watch, and we'll talk about that a little later in the show. All right, that does it for segment one. We're going to get to a break. When we come back, we're going to look at some highlights, some video highlights from week one. We're going to talk about 3 of the biggest player surprises in week one. So much more to get to as we preview week 2 of the high school football season right here on the walkthrough, presented by Coker Rental. Stay with us.
Times, and that user-friendly website can just add to your frustrations when you need business to run on time. Your contact, who is just a phone call away, doesn't turn out to be so available after all. Best Logistics Group puts you first. When our team promises we can handle that, you can count on us to be there when you need us, not just when it's convenient. To put an end to your supply chain headaches, just remember there's Best Logistics Group.
Technology has certainly made everyone better, but it's the people that separate the good from the best.
When you shop at Elliott's, your journey is our purpose.
North Knox Siding and Windows is a complete exterior home improvement company that can help you with all your exterior needs. Visit us today at 5618 North Broadway.
Segment 2 gets underway right here on the walkthrough, presented by Coker Rentals. RentCoker.com for all your excavator, loader, pressure washer, skid steers, lifts, all your construction needs right here up in North Knoxville. Check them out in person, Clinton Highway, Raccoon Valley up there in Claxton, or rentcoker.com. All right, as promised, we had some monster games in week 1. Oak Ridge, Jefferson County was one of those that we went to, had a lot of highlights, and of course, Bearden and West. Both of those games just loaded with Division I talent. Let's take a quick look at some highlights from week 1. Great job by Sam Scott videoing that West High School game against Bearden. Of course, Sam did our 3-part documentary series on West football. You can find that on YouTube. One More Week is the name of the series. An in-depth 3-part documentary, about 45 minutes of each per episode, somewhere in there. You won't find anything like it in high school sports. Definitely encourage you to check that out. Whether you're a fan of West football or not, it's worth your time. Of course, Sam got his start in VFL Films, went on to shoot a lot of pro sports and has moved back here to East Tennessee. He's a huge addition to what we do at 5-Star Preps. And shout out Michael White for always being one of our great video guys. He was with me at Oak Ridge in week 1 and brought you all those highlights that you enjoyed there. So let's take a look back at week 1 one more time. 3 surprise players that we did not see coming, producing big time stats in week 1 of the high school football season. Number 1, Dante Strickland from Central High School. Shout out to that young man. Big win over Fulton. He had 5 catches, 150 yards receiving, and 3 touchdowns. He transferred from Catholic during the offseason. We saw him at 7-on-7s, and yeah, he was making plays, but I did not see the 150 and 3 touchdowns coming in week 1. Fulton has some really athletic guys, some really good, talented guys in their secondary. So big output out of him. Who knows if that becomes a consistent thing with Central, and you can complement that pass game with Frank Johnson IV's running ability. To keep an eye on Central there this year to see how that evolves. Player number 2, Javier Wharton, running back from Northview Academy, 195 yards on the ground. He's just a junior. We'll see if this continues with him. We know about Northview Academy having some big guys on the defensive line, but keep an eye on this young man, Javier Wharton, running back from Northview Academy, 195 on the ground this past week. And our final big surprise player of the week in week 1, Caden Rector of Oneida High School, a junior, throwing for 269 yards and 3 touchdowns. When did Oneida start throwing the football? That's a program that's always kind of been run, especially when Tony Lambert was there. Maybe run the wing T, run some type of option offense. And now throwing the football, 269 yards, 3 touchdowns. We don't have a lot of teams in that smaller classifications doing things like that. So shout out to Caden Rector of Oneida High School, our final surprise player of the week. All right, we're going to catch our second break here on the walkthrough, presented by Coker Rentals. When we come back, it's the big preview time. We're going to go down the list of big games in week 2. We'll also have an interview coming up with Brian Nix, Alcoa head coach. He's hurt. He's coaching hurt. He's making it through. Stick with us. We'll talk with him and preview so much more in week 2 right here on the walkthrough.
Endless hold times and that user-friendly website can just add to your frustrations when you need business to run on time. Your contact who is just a phone call away doesn't turn out to be so available after all. Best Logistics Group puts you first. When our team promises we can handle that, you can count on us to be there when you need us, not just when it's convenient. To put an end to your supply chain headaches, just remember there's Best Logistics Group.
Technology has certainly made everyone better, but it's the people that separate the good from the best.
When you shop at Elliott's, your journey is our purpose.
North Knox Siding and Windows is a complete exterior home improvement company that can help you with all your exterior needs. Visit us today at 5618 North Broadway.
Welcome back into the walkthrough. I'm Jesse Smithey, host and senior editor and owner of 5-Star Preps. A lot of big games to get to here in week 2 of the high school football season. It's Battle of the Bridge time in Loudoun County as the Loudoun Redskins will play host to Lenoir City. Both teams coming into this matchup 1-0. Lenoir City winning in dramatic fashion a week ago against South Doyle. Trey Wilhite having a big game in that win for Lenoir City, and he will be a big focal part of the Loudoun defensive game plan as they'll try to stop his ability to run the football, and also somehow limit him and what he does defensively for Lenoir City. Trey Wilhite was one of the big-time players last year and has continued that in week 1. And on the flip side, Gavin Devine runs the football very, very well for Loudon. Of course, he's going to be a focal point of what Lenoir City puts together game plan-wise defensively. A surprising element that Loudon showed a week ago, their ability to throw the football. With Bronson Scrivener throwing 3 touchdowns there in the first half. That's a positive sign for Loudon. Look, they have not been shy about saying what they're going to do this year. Their identity is in the running the football with Gavin Devine, but the fact that they can maybe do some play action passes and get out in the pass game and throw a couple of touchdowns, that's going to keep defenses honest. That's going to show them on film to their opponents that, hey, we have to watch out for the pass with this group. They blended in really well with their offensive game plan of running the football. So should be a fast game. Both teams run the football. Not going to have a lot of stoppages because of incomplete passes, anything like that. So with these late start times because of heat index, we expect that Loudon-Lenoir City game to go final really quickly unless they go to overtime, something like that. And that could happen. It's going to be a tight game, I believe. Something 17-14 range, 20-14 range, something of that manner. So that should be one of the games of the week. West High School, coming off of their win over Bearden, will go on the road to face a very, very talented Clinton team. A Clinton team that's not super deep on the line, so they're going to have to try and outscore everybody this year. They have the weapons to do that. We should see their wide receiver, Bryson Maddox, 6'4" sophomore, come back very, very soon, maybe this week. From the injured list, he was a star for them in the spring and was not able to play in week 1 against Cleveland in that game that Clinton lost. So look for him to possibly return here in week 2, and they need him because, again, Clinton doesn't have much force up front, especially on defense, so stopping people going to be a little bit difficult at times this year. So look for this game to be a shootout, something 40-30, somewhere in that range, 40s and 30s, as both teams should put up a lot of points in this game. West defense, though, might have something to say about that. They looked very, very good against Bearden, even though they graduated some key components from that team a year ago that was so dominant defensively. This West team is very much capable of keeping that Clinton offense in check, keeping it into the teens or low 20s, or who knows, even worse. So I don't know, I'm expecting kind of high scoring, but we'll see. The next game to take a look at, Powell at Farragut. Again, we mentioned Powell at the top of the show. What they're able to do running the football is going to be imperative that Farragut learns how to stop that early on in that game. Gain some confidence defensively and try to keep it low scoring so that their offense, which is still kind of finding its identity, can have some time to find a way to crack the code against Powell's defense. So a 5A matchup versus a 6A matchup. Doesn't have a lot of playoff implications, anything like that, but it's a really strong test for both teams in the early going. We'll see what happens there. It's a fun matchup, Powell and Farragut. Halls and Gibbs. Gibbs finally getting to host a home game in their new stadiums. Their first home game since 2021. It's going to be big fanfare, showing off the stadium, all the signage, all the statues. The new home side is on the opposite side of the field. Where's the team going to run out? So many questions as to what it's going to look like up there at Gibbs, but I know one thing. The people at Corrington, the administration, the football staff, they're going to do it big. They have done a great job of doing everything they can the last year or so to make those kids on the team feel special when they were playing so many away games and neutral site games that I know they're going to do a big job of making that game feel special. But as Brad Turner, their coach, told us earlier this week, once that ball kicks off, nobody's going to be thinking about the stadium anymore. It's a rivalry game against a really good and surprising Halls team. Halls outscored Campbell County 31-0 in the second half of that rivalry Thursday win in week 1. They are big on the line. They are underrated at their skill position groups. This is a big time game for both teams. We'll talk about our prediction for that later in the show, but keep an eye up on that game in Corrington. Should be one of the top 2, maybe 3 games of the night in week 2. Central at Maryville. I think everybody's probably expecting Maryville to win. We did catch word that Gage Ledoux, though, the star running back at Maryville, hurt his foot, kind of foot ankle injury there in week 1. So we don't really know what his status is or availability will be in the next coming weeks. They may or may not play him. If they are deep at one position at Maryville, it's running back. So they might have the opportunity to sit him if they get off to a good start against Central High School, Price Davis running the football, and a few others. Of course, the running backs are fully capable of running the football at Maryville as well. So that's just something we wanted to mention, keep an eye on with Gage Ledoux. Bearden at Alcoa will be the game of the night for everybody. It's going to be packed on both sides. These two teams haven't played since 1961. They've only played 2 times in their history, 1960 and 1961. So this is new for everybody. Kind of cool combination of maroon uniforms that'll be on the sidelines. A lot of Division I talent on the field, whether you're talking about Bearden, whether you're talking about Alcoa. So if you have a night off, you want to go catch a high school football game, I highly recommend this one, as well as you can get to see 5, 6, 7, 8 Division I athletes on the field at any given time in this game. Of course, Alcoa, 8-time defending state champions, come into this game with a win already over a 6A football team in Ravenwood. They went to Nashville a week ago and dominated that game. So they're coming into this game riding high. Of course, Bearden does not want to start off 0-2. They absolutely do not. This was a team that had such high expectations, and to start off 0-2 would really be a punch in the gut. So I think you're going to get to see Bearden's best. I think you're going to get to see Alcoa's best, and that's a fun matchup. Speaking of Alcoa, when we come back from our next break, we're going to talk with head football coach Brian Nix. Got injured in the preseason. He's still kind of hobbled around, but he was able to sit down for an interview with us here at 5 Star Preps. We'll bring you that right after the break, right here on the walkthrough.
Hold times, and that user-friendly website can just add to your frustrations when you need business to run on time. Your contact who is just a phone call away doesn't turn out to be so available after all. Best Logistics Group puts you first. When our team promises we can handle that, you can count on us to be there when you need us, not just when it's convenient. To put an end to your supply chain headaches, just remember there's Best Logistics Group.
Technology has certainly made everyone better, but it's the people that separate the good from the best.
When you shop at Elliott's, your journey is our purpose.
North Knox Siding and Windows is a complete exterior home improvement company that can help you with all your exterior needs. Visit us today at 5618 North Broadway.
Welcome back to the walkthrough presented by Coker Rentals. RentCoker.com. Again, check them out online or up there in North Knoxville, up in the Claxton area. They have all your needs for skid steers, loaders, and mulchers, pressure washers, so much more. Check them out, RentCoker.com. As I mentioned before the break, we have an interview with Brian Nix, head football coach at Alcoa, now entering his 2nd year as head coach of the Tornadoes. Won a state title a year ago. He's been a part of the fabric of that program for more than 2 decades, especially at the defensive coordinator position. He's always been known for his ability to come up with motivational tactics or schematics to help Alcoa's defense be one of the more dominant units, not in East Tennessee, but the state. And his transition to head coach, filling in for Gary Rankin, who left to go down towards the Chattanooga area, to Boyd Buchanan, was basically seamless a year ago. And so we sat down with him. Even though he got hurt in the preseason, he had surgery, his leg is still in a brace, and he's still got crutches to move around. He was gracious enough to hobble into a seat, sit down with us here for an interview for the walkthrough. And so here is our interview with Alcoa head coach Brian Nix. All right, Brian, looking back to last week, obviously scoreboard went y'all's way. What did you like about what you saw from your team and maybe some things to fix?
We saw you showed some mental toughness in a situation where we jump up 14-0. Ravenwood runs a kickoff back, and then really from then on until really the end of the third quarter, it was a dogfight. And we had to show some toughness. They did some things offensively that we hadn't anticipated and they hadn't shown in really the last couple of years. And, they're just a well-coached football team. I think with Ravenwood, you have to take everything you're going to get. They're not going to give you anything. You're going to have to make plays on defense. You have to execute on offense. And our kids did a good job of just remaining patient and understanding that you're not going to score every time against these guys. We had some calls that didn't go our way, and we didn't lose our composure with that. We tell our guys, officials, not your job. Handle what you can handle and how you react to it. And so I thought we did a really good job of managing our emotions, just continuing to play hard.
In terms of managing, how did you guys go about your quarterback situation? It looked like from what I've seen on film, Cody threw the ball well and Eli made some plays as well.
Yeah, I think it's what I've been saying the whole fall. It's like you got to play both those guys because they both can do very different things. But Cody, I think he was 14 of 17, threw the ball downfield great. Eli, the one drive he was in, he scored from 18 yards out, and he brings a level of excitement just because of his ability to run and move. And that's the thing about Eli Graff. He can return punts for us, he can return kickoffs for us. He was probably our best tackler on defense. I mean, you're talking about maybe the key play in that game is it's 21-7. Their quarterback scrambles. It's fourth down, and Eli tackles him about a half a yard short of the first down. They're inside the 30. Then when you're working to cut it 21-14, we put on a drive, make it 28-7, and really after that, it was pretty much our ball game. So, it's just Eli Graff just does so much for us. But Cody's really done well for his first game at Alcoa, getting no new teammates, new setting. He did really good.
In regards to the offensive line, that was probably a point of concern in the spring. How has that group evolved from spring until now?
Yeah, I think they're continuing to evolve. I think the work that Coach Gossett and Coach Taylor have done with them in the offseason has been phenomenal. You see the improvement. There's a lot of competition for playing time there. And, I think it all starts with Bryce Hayes, our senior up there. Bryce was our starting tight end last year, and we asked him to really sacrifice what he wanted to do to move to offensive tackle, just because Bryce is a physical kid. He's a strong kid. He's definitely undersized there. But I'll take, David Ellis said this a long time ago that the most overrated aspect of high school football is size. I think that's true. We got to the point where we were running behind him every time, and just he's a great leader, great human being. And so he's really been a leader for that group. But I think we're continuing to develop. We're getting some depth there, and I thought they played really well as the game went on.
You turn the page to week 2 with Bearden. They're a team that had a lot of hype around them coming into the season. They don't want to start off 0-2. What do you feel like you're going to get out of this Bearden team?
I think you get a highly talented team. Probably 2 of the best running backs in probably the state. Just really electric, can score anytime they touch the ball. And I told our guys yesterday, I was like, I know another really good football team last year that lost a really tough game to West. So don't start thinking if West doesn't complete that post at the end of the game with 15 seconds left and Bearden wins, do you feel any different about them? And you better not, because if you think that one play changed, they're not a good football team. They played a tough. Our kids know how good West is. Our kids know how physical West is. They were 12 o'clock heat. They battled through some adversity. It didn't come out in their favor, but games like that make you a better team and make you better players. So we'd be we're ready to battle, no doubt.
Coaches often say the most improvements from week 1 to week 2. What do you feel like Bearden will probably try to improve upon, or what they might kind of throw your way?
Well, I think once both of us, you look to improve on special teams. You look to improve on execution on offense. They struggle a little bit throwing the ball, and I think their quarterback's a good player and he's athletic. And I think sometimes it just, he's also going against a really fast, athletic West defense who's well coached. West knows them pretty well. They played each other a lot of times, so I think you'll see improved quarterback play out of them. And then their defense, really they're almost pitching a shutout till the very end of the game. Just gave up a few plays. So I think you're just looking at capitalizing on some opportunities. Once again, a few special teams mistakes, but I think that's any high school football game at the beginning of the year. You're going to have those.
Last thing, just playing 2 6A size football teams to start the year. What does that do for you? Why did you guys decide to do that?
I think our kids work really hard, and we want to put them in environments like that. When you go to Ravenwood, their student section, as soon as the warm-ups hit the field, right, they are loud, going on the road. That was a big win for our kids, as opposed to putting them in a situation where you don't get that much of a payoff. Our kids want to be tested. They want to compete, and if you want to compete, you're going to have to go against the best competition. That's what we wanted. It really hit me last year when a couple weeks after we lost to West, Elijah Cannon, there wasn't hardly anybody in our stands. We're playing a game, and Elijah Cannon said, he goes, man, Coach, I wish every game could be like that West game. And I thought to myself, maybe we lost that game. But I think our kids are to the point they would rather compete and have the opportunity to beat a good opponent and with a chance to lose, as opposed to just a lot of teams when you go out there and you just know you still have to execute, you have to play up to your abilities, all of those things. But I think there's an added degree of satisfaction when you know, okay, that team could have beat us. That was a good, Bearden is good. There's several teams on our schedule this year. If you don't play, you don't execute, you could lose. And I think it's the only way to keep our program growing.
Brought to you by Smart Bank. Play smart. Bank smart. Smart Bank. For more information, visit smartbank.com.
Endless hold times and that user-friendly website can just add to your frustrations when you need business to run on time. Your contact, who is just a phone call away, doesn't turn out to be so available after all. Best Logistics Group puts you first. When our team promises we can handle that, you can count on us to be there when you need us, not just when it's convenient. To put an end to your supply chain headaches, just remember there's Best Logistics Group.
Technology has certainly made everyone better, but it's the people that separate the good from the best.
When you shop at Elliott's, your journey is our purpose.
North Knox Siding and Windows is a complete exterior home improvement company that can help you with all your exterior needs. Visit us today at 5618 North Broadway.
Welcome back in. Final segment of the show right here on the walkthrough, presented by Coker Rental. Thank you again, Brian Nix, for that interview that you just saw in the last segment. It's time for the Waffle House Who's Eating segment. This is when I post on social media and I open it up to everybody, say, hey, who's a player that you predict is going to eat on Friday night? That means who's going to ball out, who's going to show out. And let's check out Instagram. All right, Strickland over at Central High School says his teammate Frank Johnson IV is going to eat on Friday night against Maryville. We'll see that. At King James MDMG says Reek 7 is going to ball out. J Money QB is going to ball out. That's Jaden Neal. So he's expecting Catholic, who goes out of state, to go over there and ball out. Pierce Palmer is the nomination from Barrett Smith 21 on Instagram. Riley Walker 18 says Rylan Getner. Hopefully, man, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. He's the quarterback out at Kingston, running back. He went off in week 1. Guettner says Ryland's going to go off there in week 1. Let's take a look. Tavion Ray 33 says West Rebels. The whole team just going to eat on Friday against Clinton. And then conversely, the next player, T Bollinger 0 says, hey, Joshua Keith, quarterback from Clinton, is going to eat on Friday night against West High School. That's going to be one of the better games around. Check that out on Instagram at 5 Star Preps. You'll see the Waffle House logo there. Who's going to eat? You'll see all the nominees from people around the area. We'll see who's right on Friday night. And I appreciate everybody for participating in that. Always cool to scroll through there, see who everybody's nominated. And sometimes they're right. Sometimes it helps us learn about a player that we didn't know. So we see you, we see your comments, we read those comments, and we check out the players that you nominate. Some of them are jokes. Some of those guys don't even play football, but hey, we read them all the same. But now it's time for our predictions. The Waffle House pick segment right here, week 2. Let's start off with Battle of the Bridge. Loudon taking on Lenoir City. That game is at Loudon. Loudon has kind of owned this series over the last 4 meetings, and so we're going to lean with the Redskins on this one. I believe I picked it 20-14, win over Lenoir City. Lenoir City, though, unorthodox on offense, going to be tough for Loudon's defense, but I think they have the defensive guys to do it. They'll have the home crowd to do it, and they have just the trend in that series going in their way. So we're going to take Loudon in that game. Alcoa taking on Bearden, a 3A team in Alcoa, a 6A team in Bearden. You heard that interview with Brian Nix in the last segment. He said Bearden has arguably 2 of the top running backs in the state and Jaheim Merriweather and Jazon Thompson, 2 Power 5 guys. But Alcoa is just loaded this year on offense. They have the guys on defense. I like them to win this football game to go to 2-0. Alcoa gets the win in this one, I think 34-16. Powell versus Farragut. Really fun matchup here of Knox County teams. That game will kick off at 8 o'clock on Friday night, as so many games in the area are doing. Things I want to see in this one, I want to see Farragut run the football a little better. They did not do that so well in week 1. Powell needs to improve its pass game. How many chances will Powell take in the pass game? How many times will Farragut run the football? Are they just going to go play to their strengths and try to win this game? That's going to be the interesting factor there in that contest. I think Powell's defense, though, is not respected enough in this area for how good it is right now and how good it's going to be. Yeah, everybody knows about Steven Souls, but do they know about Nico McDonald on the defensive front? They have some other guys on the defensive front that are really, really, really good. Charvon Thomas was a big player last week for Powell High School up front. So I think those guys get in the backfield, disrupt some things for Farragut. I like Powell to win this football game. And finally, the big game up in Coreyton, Gibbs debuting its new stadium. I like Halls to win this football game by 1 point. I think it's going to be the game of the night. 36-35 Halls. You talk about running the football with Gibbs. They're going to do well doing that. Halls, though, I really liked what I saw out of them on the offense and defensive fronts. I like some of their skill position talents a little bit better than I did kind of coming into this season. I think it's going to be a back and forth and fair. 36-35 Halls. I know if I'm wrong, everybody in Gibbs is going to let me know, and I hope they do. It's a fun matchup, something that those communities should enjoy. And so whether I'm right or wrong, I'm happy that Gibbs is getting to play at its home stadium once again. So that's going to do it for the Waffle House Pick segment. Hey, quick look into week 3. We got Maryville at Bradley Central. That's a huge region game. Coalfield at Greenback. That game always delivers dramatic plays at the end. Farragut at West. Big time rivalry game. And then Powell at Oak Ridge. Give me that one all day long. All right, that's going to do it for us here on the walkthrough, presented by Coker Rental. Remember, rentcoker.com for all your construction equipment needs, or maybe you just need pressure washers, a loader, a dumpster, what have you. They got you taken care of. Locally owned and run for many years. Now you find them up in North Knoxville if you need to go in person, or rentcoker.com. I'm Jesse Smithey. Thanks for joining us on the show. We'll find you right here next week on the walkthrough.
Welcome to the 5-Star Preps Walkthrough. Powered by Coker Rental Company. The walkthrough delivers important pregame news, breakdowns of the week's biggest matchups, and more from the teams and players you spend your fall Friday nights cheering for.
Are you ready for some football?
We're ready for some football, baby.
Now, join us as our host, Jesse Smithey, and the rest of the 5-Star Preps team deliver the most comprehensive high school football coverage in East Tennessee. It's time for the 5-Star Preps Walkthrough.